This is definitely the most explosive thriller of the year. In a rundown apartment building, strange noises can always be heard late at night. The piercing noise torments the girl on the 6th floor to the brink of collapse. She covered the ceiling tightly with soundproofing cotton, but even so, the footsteps from upstairs still pounded like drums. The noise echoed in her ears, so the woman decided to record it as evidence. Unexpectedly, a strange sound came from by the window. A blurry figure appeared in the footage from the video camera. Where is the noise in this building coming from? Is it a supernatural phenomenon, or is there someone with malicious intent? Welcome to the 2025 latest thriller, Noise. Zhu Ying, an ordinary worker, worn hearing aid for years due to impairment. One day she receives call from police. Her sister, Zhu Xi, missing 3 days. Zhu Ying immediately rushes to apartment 604. Before even entering, she sees a warning note downstairs from 5040 GT. Please be quiet, I can't take it anymore. She pushes open the door and sees the place in disarray, with clutter scattered in the living room. No one has lived here for some time. Zhu Ying calls her sister's cell phone, a shutdown tone from the receiver. She can't help but feel a bit guilty. Although the two are sisters by blood, their relationship has become quite distant over the past 6 months. They hadn't even met, barely spoken on the phone. Zhu Ying remembers the last time she visited her sister, who was already on the verge of a breakdown from the upstairs noise. However, Zhu Ying didn't ask much then. Now it seems her sister moved elsewhere to escape the noise. Zhu Ying was in the room. She quickly found her sister's phone after moving aside dirty clothes. Suddenly, a large patch of glue marks appeared on the floor, startling Zhu Ying. Feeling uneasy, the doorbell rang. A man's voice came from outside, but there was no one in the surveillance footage. Zhu Ying carefully fastened the security lock. She opened the door a crack and saw it was her neighbor from 504 downstairs. He warned Zhu Ying not to make noise, but Zhu Ying was completely puzzled. No one had been home these past few days, so how could there have been any noise? After the downstairs neighbor left, Zhu Ying noticed a figure in red standing at the end of the hallway. Fine truth. About her sister's whereabouts, Zhu Ying went to the security guard. The guard had a deep impression of Zhu Xi from 604. She was searching for the noise source and had turned the whole building upside down. He understood this well. He knew she would never find the answer. What's more, he happened to live in 604. Before he could finish speaking, a girl ran over. She reported a foul smell from the basement, wanting property management to deal with it. The security guard was powerless. The basement was piled high with garbage, all accumulated bit by bit over the years. Even though it had been sealed off a few months ago, some residents still threw trash in through the windows. Zhu Ying thought her sister's disappearance was likely related to the noise in the apartment, so she took a leave and moved directly into her sister's apartment, number 604. While tidying up the room, Zhu Ying recalled memories with her sister. Maybe it was because of their blood connection, but she felt that her sister was still very important to her. After countless attempts, Zhu Ying finally managed to unlock her sister's phone. She found the last contact her sister called and tried to dial the number, but all she heard was a message saying the phone was turned off. Zhu Ying had no choice but to send a text message, hoping the person could help provide some clues. Afterwards, she also discovered a large number of audio recordings on the phone and was just about to. As she listened, a muffled thud came from above. Zhu Yingqiang held back fear, still listening to the recording with his sister's frantic cries. The thud from upstairs sounded real. Zhu Ying paused the playback, but the noises persisted. She glanced around in fear, and then a woman's voice whispered in her ear. That's when she realized the apartment was full of eerie happenings. Zhu Ying tried to calm down with a shower, but as she entered the bathroom, the doorbell rang again, followed by her sister's cry for help, urging her to leave. He excitedly reached out to open the door, but quickly realized that his sister couldn't possibly not know the house's door lock code. He looked through the peephole and saw a pitch-black eyeball, which almost made Zhu Ying scream. Immediately afterward, a piercing noise suddenly erupted. Early the next morning, my sister's boyfriend came over because he couldn't reach Zhu Xi for days, so he decided to check. Zhu Ying quickly told him about her sister's disappearance. Just then, the last person my sister spoke to called back. It was a community worker, who mentioned that before Zhu Xi disappeared, she often reported issues, first saying someone in the building was making noise. Then she mentioned the apartment was haunted. Zhu Ying felt uneasy. Her sister's disappearance seemed more complicated than she thought. When they returned to the apartment, they saw the big notice from the downstairs neighbor again. If you keep making noise, I will really kill you. That evening, while the boyfriend was making a missing person notice, the doorbell rang again. It was the resident from apartment 504 downstairs. The boyfriend approached and only opened the door slightly. The neighbor looked even more worn out than before. Warning, this is the final reminder. After the person left, the boyfriend seriously told Zhu Ying, if 504 returns, don't open the door. She had a knife earlier. The next day, while Zhu Ying was posting a missing person notice downstairs, he noticed a little boy staring intently at the basement. Feeling puzzled himself, he shone his flashlight into the basement and was startled by a mouse. At this moment, a woman from apartment 804 came over and kindly told Zhu Ying that the building president wouldn't allow him to post missing person notices. This year is crucial for the apartment's reconstruction, and if someone dies or goes missing, the permit might be rejected. Then, Zhu Ying noticed a little girl on a swing with her back to him, but she mysteriously vanished in a blink. After getting home, Zhu Ying suddenly heard his sister's voice from the drain pipe. He leaned closer to the pipe, listening intently, but the sound vanished again. As he pondered, the door slowly opened. Following the noise, he saw his sister limping into the bedroom. The other person seemed indifferent. By the time Zhu Ying entered the room, her sister had vanished. When she turned again, she saw her sister hanging in the living room. Zhu Ying awakened, realizing it had been a dream. She rose from bed to get some water and noticed her phone's voice recognition feature had activated. Her gaze shifted to the balcony, where a woman's silhouette appeared from the darkness. Zhu Ying was scared and backed away, but then heard strange sounds outside the door again. It was the downstairs neighbor coming to warn her again. Zhu Ying ignored some issues and gathered courage to walk to the balcony, only to find the ghostly figure gone. She went to the door and peeked through the peephole, noticing the neighbor from 504 had also left. What Zhu Ying didn't know was that the neighbor was drawn away by the commotion on the 7th floor. With a grim expression, she rushed upstairs, only to find a human head hanging above her. Right after, a body fell from above, scaring the neighbor who ran but barely took 2 steps. The body began chasing them. Panicked, the neighbor sprinted and accidentally flew off the balcony. The police arrived to investigate and deemed it an accident. Yet, Zhu Ying found the man's death suspicious and wanted to report it, but the president stopped her. He preferred not to stir things up, fearing it might affect the apartment's reconstruction plans. Before leaving, he sarcastically remarked that everyone in 604 seemed bewitched. This made Zhu Ying curious if something had happened there before. So she knocked on 804's door to learn about the previous 604 tenant. During their talk, a little girl suddenly ran by, and the 804 resident explained that was his daughter. He then talked about the murder case from a year ago. The former building president lived there and couldn't stand the noise from above, causing frequent hysterical outbursts. The outcome, however, angered the 604 resident downstairs. One day, he snapped and stormed into the building president's home in 704, brutally stabbing him. Before dying, the president banged on the wall for help, but everyone thought it was just noise and ignored it. Since then, the 604 man vanished mysteriously. Occasionally, neighbors reported spotting him near the apartment, but 704 stayed vacant, with no one daring to move in again. After learning this from Zhu Ying, the boyfriend quickly started investigating, thinking the murderer might still be hiding in the apartment. The police had said there was no footage of him leaving. This was eerily similar to his sister Jushi's disappearance. The boyfriend thought there might be a secret hiding spot in the apartment. Hearing this, Zhu Ying suddenly realized the basement would be a perfect hiding place, right? The two of them pried open the basement door lock and quietly slipped inside. Seeing a fork in the path ahead, they decided to split up and search. The boyfriend, holding a video camera, slowly advanced in the dim light. Suddenly, he saw a figure lying on the ground, dressed similarly to the person in the murderer's photo. Just as he was about to step forward for a closer look, a piercing noise suddenly erupted, and a head rolled to his feet, causing his body to convulse. Unaware of the situation, Zhu Ying rushed over to him, only to see her boyfriend lunging at her in a twisted way. "There's nothing." Zhu Ying frantically tried to flee, grabbing a stone and smashing it down hard. Just as he was about to escape the basement, his ankle was tightly grabbed by his possessed boyfriend. As Zhu Ying was about to be pulled back, a figure suddenly appeared. When he regained consciousness, he found himself lying in the building chairman's home. Upon meeting the chairman's son, Zhu Ying noted she'd only seen kids from his family and the one in 804. The chairman looked puzzled, saying the daughter from 804 died in a car accident long ago. Zhu Ying felt a chill. Who was the figure she saw? The chairman's son stepped forward, removed her hearing aid, and signed that she heard things she shouldn't have, leading to this. If she kept investigating, she would die. Just then. The police reported discovering a body in the basement, identified as her sister's boyfriend. Determined, Zhu Ying went back to the basement and located her sister's camcorder in a cluttered corner. Though it was out of battery, she accessed the files with her sister's phone. The footage showed her sister sneaking into apartment 804 and finding a noise-suppressing device, exposing the residents of 804 as the source of the building's noise. He aimed to halt the building's reconstruction, wanting to stay in the apartment with his daughter forever. After that, my sister was attacked by the resident lady. Following the clues in the video, Zhu Yong finally found his dying sister deep in the basement. What then? Just as he was about to leave with his sister, the lady from 804 suddenly appeared. Zhu Ying hurriedly hid his sister in a cabinet and faced the lady alone. She immediately asked if the lady's daughter was dead, to which the lady replied, "Can't you see my daughter just like I can?" Zhu Ying didn't dare stay any longer and seized the opportunity to sprint away, hiding in a dark corner. He heard soft footsteps nearby and covered his mouth, fearing he'd be found. Sadly, his phone's voice recognition turned on, and the alert sound revealed Zhu Ying's spot. The woman from 804 showed up, and they began to fight. During the struggle, she revealed a hidden truth. Her daughter went out to play due to the house being too noisy and got into a car accident. Since then, she has held a grudge against all the building's residents. The previous building president was not murdered by the resident of 604, but was instead finished off by the woman from 804. She committed this act because he advocated for the building's reconstruction, which would separate her from her beloved daughter. As Zhu Ying absorbed this information, the former president, who had been deceased for quite some time, appeared above him. Upon identifying his murderer, he let out a roar and lunged at the resident of 804. Zhu Ying seized the opportunity to swiftly dash out, closing the door securely just in time. Soon, a dull knock echoed from inside. Surprisingly, Auntie from 804 died just like the building president did before. But the story wasn't over. The new tenant knocked on 604's door. He asked Zhu Ying if she lived alone, and she said she lived with her sister. The tenant was confused since no one else was there. He didn't linger on it but mentioned it got too noisy here at night. Zhu Ying quickly signaled him to hush.
He's leaving with you, his other self.
That wraps up everything about the noise. Clearly, Zhu Ying is a mental patient. The strange events that defy scientific explanation might all be her hallucinations. Whether ghosts are involved is up to the audience's interpretation. That's all for today. If you have different views, feel free to comment, and we'll catch you next time.